Okay, so after this whole afternoon of testing, what are my final thoughts? I will admit that I actually have used the Sora that wasn't open to the regular public. Hi, my name is Katya Alexander, and this is Real Intelligence, the podcast where we talk about the use of AI in the film industry, as well as exploring new tools that are on the market. In today's episode, we're going to talk about OpenAI's new program, Sora. It's been out for a while, but I still wanted to do a review on it, especially because right now I'm making a short film using AI, and I want to see if this tool can be helpful for me.
Real intelligence leading the way. AI insights, it's what you crave. Real intelligence, turn up the light. Stay informed all through the night.
For those of you who don't know me, I've been producing in the industry for 10 years. I sold a film to Abamarama, I've won South by Southwest, and sold a film to IFC. One of my films ended up on Hulu and was a trending film for 14 weeks. I also worked in Las Vegas Sphere, which was a boot camp between the intersection of entertainment and technology. Some of you may know that I'm in the middle of a series where I'm making a short film using AI. I want to see if you can make a high quality film essentially from your bedroom. Today, I'm going to look at Sora and see if this is a useful tool for me to make some movies out of. When I first started exploring Sora, I used the Sora account that just comes with a pro OpenAI account. Basically, if you pay $20 a month for ChatGPT, you have access to this Sora account. Very different than $200 a month. There are some limitations to this, like 720 is the highest resolution you can go. There's a limit to how many clips you can do in a month. And also there's a limit to you can't upload an image with people in it and have it generate a clip. It makes sense that they would put some stuff behind a paywall, but at least you can try the program out and see if you like it before you invest in such a hefty price tag. At first, I just wanted to go through the program and see what it could do. So the first thing I tried to do was generate a live action clip. I just came up with the fact that there's like a little girl, she's running through a forest, there's some sort of spirit kind of lurking around her. What's really cool is you can put in a prompt, but then hit storyboard. So you can actually kind of keyframe what you want to happen and when. Basically, it'll give you a timeline of 4 seconds, and then you can put little prompts throughout those 4 seconds to say when you would like certain things to happen. For a lot of the early stuff, I just saw whatever the program came up with. It's cool that when you click storyboard, you can see what the program added in to make sure that your video is really good. Because you can go in and edit little tiny details here and there. Example, on the first try, it put that she was in a red sweatshirt, which is not something I added. But when I saw that, I was like, oh, it'd be more interesting if she was wearing a red cloak. Which honestly was really impressive. So I wanted to see what it would do if I gave it edits. So like I said, I had her wearing a red cloak. I had the figure be more of a spirit instead of like an actual man. And then I wanted to see if it would generate something better. And for the most part, I think it did. So while I was generating for the first time, I noticed that you could put in a couple of presets. So I wanted to test out all of the presets and see which ones were the best and all the different ideas I could come up with because I know these presets exist. So an example, the first preset I did was archival footage. And so I was like, okay, these NASA astronauts walking on Mars and it's archival. Honestly, it was really cool. I was hoping that the footage would be a little bit grainier and stuff, sort of that traditional look of archival footage, but it still did look like archival footage, and it included the band that comes with certain film reels, so I thought that that was kind of cool. The next thing I wanted to do was generate a clip from an image. Like I said, from the account that I had, I can't generate an image of people, so I just picked an image of nails. And then when I uploaded the image, I had to agree to all these different things. Basically, it was you agree that you're not uploading media containing people without their consent or who are under 18. You're not uploading media with violence or explicit themes, that you have all the necessary rights to the media that you're uploading, and that you're not misusing media. And that you agree that if you are misusing this media upload in any way, that they can suspend your account. So the clips that it came up with are pretty cool. I mean, the image that I gave it was not that interesting and was pretty simple. So I wasn't expecting the world from it, but it created people with the nails, you know, the person whose hand it might be. And it actually created kind of an interesting shot and even improved upon the nail design. So the next thing I wanted to play with was their film Noir. I'll say that I didn't really like the clip that it gave me, but I basically was like a person smoking under a street lamp, you know, like the classic film noir shot. I'm sure if I went through and added a bunch of keyframes and like added way more detail, it would have been way better, but it just was fine, you know? One of the options was also this sort of paper mache animation, and I really loved it. The first clip it gave me was basically nothing, and so I kind of discounted that. But the second clip was so cool, and I could totally see an entire film that looks like it was made with paper mache, but actually made with Sora. So that really blew my mind. This was probably my favorite preset of them all. I have another whimsical one that's sort of like a felt animation, and I had a bumblebee like befriending a flower for that. And again, it was so cute. It looked super real, and I was very, very impressed with it. I would say that the felt and the paper mache are my two favorites because I've not really seen AI do that very well yet. So that is a way that Sora is miles ahead of anybody else. The last preset I tried was like this balloon thing. So I thought it was going to be similar to the felt and the paper mache, that it was going to be an animation, but looks like it's done entirely with balloons. But it wasn't. It was like a mixture of live action, and there were like a couple of balloons throughout, and the live action items looked like they were floating as if there was helium in them, and it was so weird. So I don't think I'm going to be using that preset again, but I could see making like super surreal and weird stuff with it. So everything I've showed you so far is from the free account. To reiterate, you can generate clips. You can generate clips from an image that doesn't contain people. And although it's 720, it's still really good quality, and you can really get super far with just the $20 a month version. I mean, you can generate 50 videos, and I think from the average person, 50 is more than enough. To keep trying out the program though, I did upgrade to the $200 version, so I will show you what the $200 version has to offer as well. With the $200 version, I uploaded some images from the short film that I'm making using AI, and I wanted to see if it would do things that were better than what the other programs did. So I started with uploading the image and putting pretty similar prompts that I did with all the other programs to see what it would give me. The first time I tried to do it, it added a lot to the image. Like, it completely changed my main character into having brown hair, and completely changed the other main character into being just a completely different person. It did stick to the prompt, but it changed the people a lot, and the camera moved so much, so obviously it's not what I was looking for. What I've discovered is when uploading an image, it's super important to actually write in those keyframes. So I put in the image, and then I keyframed what I wanted to happen each second. So they were anxiously waiting for their IDs to be checked, and then the main character looked at the man with an anxious look. He looks back at her, kind of reassuring her, and then they are still anxiously waiting to get their IDs back. When I keyframed all that and I put everything I wanted to happen in the clip is way better. For some context, here are the versions from some other AI programs that I was testing a couple weeks ago. To keep going with my tests, the next thing I wanted to check was those really big grand scenes with lots of people in the ballroom and people are dancing. So I ran into a very similar problem. when I put the image in and I kind of just said a single statement, what I got back was really bad. But when I went in and like keyframed each moment and said what I wanted to happen in each and every little moment, I got something way better. It definitely was still a little weird, you know, like there's a lot of artifacts and like bodies and like body parts moving in a way that they're not really supposed to move. But it still was really impressive. Again, for context, here are some other clips that were generated from other AI programs with the same image and very similar prompts. I did the same thing with the image of people going into the party. So the first one it made was a surreal mess. I have no idea how it happened. I mean, it's classic AI. Every once in a while you get something super crazy and you're like, how did this even happen? But the second clip I got was extremely impressive and very usable. Again, for context, here are other clips that I generated with other AI programs. Okay, so after this whole afternoon of testing, what are my final thoughts? I will admit that I actually have used the Sora that wasn't open to the regular public. I work with some filmmakers that have access to it, and I did find that program better than what is the consumer level, which makes sense to me because the computing power that was needed to make those clips is unbelievable. And it would take forever to generate things. I mean, you would queue something up and then like go to lunch and have a really, really long lunch to come back and watch the 5-second clip that you just generated. So most AI programs right now, including the current Sora, are pretty quick. You're going to wait like 5 minutes tops. Also, a lot more people are using it. It isn't just like the 100 filmmakers that used the initial Sora. So I didn't expect it to be exactly the same, but I did expect it to be at least a little bit more similar. Again, don't get me wrong, Sora is extremely impressive. It's just after a year of using it, my hopes for it were like a little bit higher than I think was reasonable. When I ignore the fact that I have played with the other Sora and I'm just looking at Sora for what it is right now, I'll still say that it's really impressive. One of my favorite things about Sora before was the fact that you can keyframe stuff. It's the thing I hated about other AI programs. You didn't have as much control about what was going to happen for each and every single moment of the clip. So for me, I really like that extra little bit of control, especially when I'm actually making something and I'm not just quickly testing the program. I can imagine there's other people who do want to be able to put in a single sentence and get the image that they want back. So those people might not have as much fun with Sora. I think Sora is really geared towards filmmakers and people that really care about having control over the final outcome. So that level of control is incredible, and it's available in the $20 version. It's not like something that you have to pay for. Honestly, the only really big difference between the $20 version and the $200 version is the fact that you can do videos in 1080p instead of just 720. You can have videos be a bit longer. Instead of 5 seconds, they can be 10 seconds long. And you can upload images with people in it and still get a clip from that. So if people are really scared of that $200 price tag, there is a $20 version that is just as cool. You just can't upload images of people. That's a pretty small thing to put behind a paywall. There's also, like I said, a limit to how many clips you can generate, which is 50 in a month. But again, like, it's gonna take a while to get through 50 clips. The other thing that was interesting to me was the amount of time it took to generate an image. I would say when it came to the 1080p one, it was a little bit longer than the average AI program. Like, I would kind of click off and go do other things for a while the clip was generating because it took a little bit longer. But it didn't take that much longer. It wasn't like when we had to go to lunch, you know? It only took probably like 5-10 minutes instead of the 1 to 4 minutes that I'm used to. Also, I imagine the amount of keyframing will affects it. Like if you have a bunch of keyframes and every single second you've decided exactly what's going to happen, it probably will take a little bit longer to generate that clip than one that you just put a single prompt in for. So lastly, do I think it's worth the $200 price tag that is put on it? I'm really not sure. I think if the price tag was $50, I'd be like, oh, absolutely. It's one of the best programs out there right now. But $200 for what you're getting is not that great. Maybe $200 for the Sora that only a couple people had access to. That I would pay a lot of money every month to have access to. But this Sora program, yeah, like I said, if it was worth $50, I'd be like, oh, yeah, definitely worth it. $200, I'm not sure. But they probably saw that coming, which is why they made a $20 version that's just as good for the average filmmaker. One of the things that really surprised me about this test was I thought that while doing the test, I was going to be like, this is the end-all be-all program. You know, I thought that I was going to ignore all the other AI programs I've come to love. I thought that I would be able to make my entire short film using just Sora moving forward. And I was really surprised for that not to be the case. I'm definitely going to use Sora, and I'm probably going to use Sora a lot to make my short film. But I'm going to use other programs like Kling as well, because they were able to give me some shots that Sora wasn't able to give me. With that being said, I have the $200 version of Sora for the next month now, and I am really, really excited to play with it. So definitely Sora is something to be extremely excited about. It's just not the end-all be-all, which is super interesting. So I'm Katya Alexander, this is Real Intelligence, and make sure you catch future episodes where I continue making my short film using AI and teaching you how you can do the same.